Hello, and a happy Tuesday to you. You are tuned into Bleep Radio London with me, Redfreya, here for a very special showcase today. So today here on the Urban Soundscapes radio show, gonna be having a celebration really of the past year of shows. It's been 1 year of playing weekly here at Bloop and bringing in a range of really good guests on the show. So today is a celebration of that. So thanks so much for tuning in. A bit later on, I'm going to be answering some questions as well. I put on my Instagram the other day if anybody had any questions about what I've been up to because with my career so far, because obviously always when I have a guest here on the show, I interview the guests. So I thought I would share a little bit with you guys about my own journey today. But I think we'll get into a little bit of music first and then jump into that at the end of the show. So get a look for the next hour. And if you stick around with me all the way till 4 p.m, I'll be answering a few of those questions right at the end of the show. wanted to play the tracks I'm really loving today on the show. Quite a deep vibe today and moody, melancholic music, which is always my jam. Letting you know the track IDs as we go, as always. This one is by Imperiu, who is one of my favorite producers. It's called Colorama, and we kicked off the show with Cali by Jonathan Casper. And now it's time for a little bit of a Q&A. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show with you guys, it's weird. It's really weird how nerve-wracking it is to be here on my own and think I'm going to like talk to you guys about my life. It's much easier when I have a guest. It feels a bit unnatural, but I will try my best. I've got a few questions that a few people replied to on my Instagram poll. But first, just to give you a few more of the IDs. So that one was Sublime by Moulinex, came out recently. The rest of the track IDs will be up on my Instagram page after the show, as always. So to kick things off, I guess one of the questions that I get asked quite often and was also asked on Instagram is how I got into doing music in the first place, how I got into doing this as my full-time job. So in brief, I came to study my degree at university at UCL, and I started that in 2015. So obviously I was studying in central London, and Fabric was around the corner, and Egg London as well was around the corner, so there was a lot of nightclubs around, and I was going to all these really big nightclubs and seeing all these amazing DJs as basically like my freshers experience in university. And before this time, I'm from Cornwall originally, so there's not that many nightclubs up there, but I'd been to Germany to visit a friend in like 2013, 2014, which was obviously a golden era of deep house music anyway. That was when sort of a lot of really amazing music was coming out on Life and Death and Dynamic and these sort of labels, and Solomon was really big at that time, and a lot of the kind of artists that are still inspiring me today, and that's I think you can hear some of that that in my sound today, the sound of that kind of era. So that's kind of how I got into electronic music in the first place, and I came across Nicholas Jar back in the day. I played a track of his today on the show as well, an old banger from like 2014, 2015. That was one of the tracks that I used to love when I first got into this kind of music. And then I was at UCL and had a few friends show me the ropes with how to DJ. Did a great course with Sisu Collective, who are a female empowerment collective in electronic music. They were kind of quite focused in the techno space, but I did an amazing 8-week course with them. So if anyone's listening to the show who is like interested in learning how to DJ and stuff like that, then I'd really recommend looking at the resources that you have to do those sort of things, like drop-in courses and stuff. But that really helped me at the time as well, because back then there were like maybe less women in the scene. I think now it's a lot more balanced. There's a lot more women, a lot more female DJs. There's a lot more female producers as well. I think in the production space, that is somewhere where we need more women to enter into it. And I myself, I'm trying my best to get into production. I'll touch on that afterwards as well. But definitely in the DJ scene, there's a lot more women around now. But it really helped me to do it, that kind of female-led course. It felt like quite like a safe space, and that was really good. And then it's really nice to be here at Bloop today, actually celebrating 1 year of radio shows, because doing my show at Bloop has been such a big part of my my career, and I've always spoken about this very openly, that I've always loved having the space here for the radio show, because when you're an upcoming artist, especially if you take the route that I've taken, where you're more of a DJ than a producer at the start, you end up playing a lot of gigs where you're opening for other acts and you're opening for other artists, and you learn a lot how to play an opening set, how to warm up at a nightclub from the doors being open and empty floor, how to like gently bring in groove and bring people to the dance floor and just create the energy. So I feel like I've been doing that a lot over the past few years, and it's it's great skill set to gain as a DJ, and I'm really grateful for all these sets that I've been playing. I love playing a warm-up slot. But the difference with it is that obviously you always have a headliner on the night, and you always feel I always feel a bit of a responsibility to warm up the room in the mood of the music that's appropriate for the night, as well as also showcasing your own sound. And I always try to do that a bit, but I think here on my radio show, I've always felt like I have complete creative freedom for the sort of music that I play. Although anyone who's a regular listener to the show, you would notice, if you've ever seen me play live, that I do play a lot more chilled stuff here on the show, because it just feels appropriate to me for like a radio show and home listening. I play a lot of my more down-tempo, downbeat selections that are more appropriate for the kitchen's table or the Sunday morning breakfast, rather than the like driving nightclub sort of sound. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of been my journey until now, and it's sort of just everything's just kind of unfolding. It's really beautiful. Like it's really nice to feel like have no idea where you're going with something, and you don't really have a plan, and you don't know what's going to happen next, but it's sort of really exciting. But yeah, I started my radio show here at Bloop, and then yeah, just like I've been playing around London very often, and toured a little bit abroad last year and earlier this year, and I think some more international tours are on the horizon. So yeah, it's been great so far, and I hope it stays great. Let's hope it keeps going. But I'm really trying my best to move more into my own sound when I play club sets now, and I was at Studio 338 this weekend, played in the main room alongside me Salome and Rodriguez Jr., Waracles, Olsen. Trying to name everybody on the lineup, and also a bunch of great local talent, a lot of other Parable residents, because I'm a resident for Parable as well. And that was probably one of the first club gigs I've had where I decided to not even think at all about the music program of like the rest of the night. As in, like, I felt this responsibility again of opening the main room at Studio 338. But I just thought I'm going to just play the music that is like exactly what I'm feeling right now, rather than at all catering to like the sound of the day overall, like the biggest headliner and like their sound. Which maybe sounds really counterintuitive to people listening to this show, and they think you're a club DJ. Why don't you just always play the music that you like the most? But it's always such a balance when you're playing and when you're DJing in a club. It's a dance between the music that you like, that you aesthetically would choose to play, and the music that you think is going to go off well in the room, that will be well received. And like the worst thing I can imagine is as a DJ set is just playing tracks that I absolutely love and everyone in the crowd looks miserable, no one's dancing. Like, I would absolutely hate to do that, and I would always change the music that I'm playing depending on the energy in the room and what the crowd is into as well. But yeah, it was a really special set for me at Studio 338 this weekend. It was probably the favourite set of my career that I've played so far, and I think amazing energy in the room. The whole party was such a great, well executed day. But I think it was also because I was really, really true to myself in my sound. So that's like a really big thing that I want to start bringing more and more and more to every club gig that I play and every dance hall, that I'm just going to be playing much more my own sound. That I think maybe you could hear it a bit in the show today as well. That it's sort of this really emotional tracks are my favorite sort of tracks. Emotional, groovy, deep. This sort of thing. Okay, so being my own interviewer here on the show, another question that I got asked, which I guess is like a natural lead on from this. This is probably the question I get asked the most all the time. When are you releasing your own music? Are you releasing music? Are you learning to produce? What's happening with this? And I would love to speak about it here today. So I am learning to produce at the moment, but it's a really big project to learn to produce music. And I have a background in classical music myself anyway, so I used to play the flute and the piano, and I sing as well, and I used to sing in the past. And so I'm classically trained, so I think all of those things will feed into producing my own music. But so yeah, at the moment I'm just trying my best to get to grips with Ableton, which is one of the biggest, obviously one of the most popular production softwares. And I've been collaborating with a bunch of friends, and I might work on like releasing some collabs at first. And I guess like I want to take my time with making music. I don't want to rush to like rinse and repeat any patterns. Like, it's so important to me that when I finally do release something, it will be with my my voice as an artist, and that I can contribute something also somewhat original, because there's so much music being released all the time. And I don't want to be like speak critically of people, but like there's a lot of music out there that's being released that sounds really generic, or that sounds really similar, like a lot of stuff that sounds the same. And I think it's so important to take the time to speak with your own voice and be inspired by something. So that's kind of like my plan with music production. And I don't know, I guess you can hear in the tracks that I choose to play when I'm DJing that I play a lot of stuff that has a lot of melodic elements and emotive breakdowns and stuff. And I find that a lot of times when I sit down to make tracks in Ableton at home in the studio, I make a lot of really cinematic sounding music, like very like without too much of like a bass or like I'm kind of trying to figure out how to make dance floor music, because obviously if I'm going to release any tracks, I want them to be things that I can play in a DJ set. But so far, when I try to make music, I'm just very inspired to make stuff that's more soundscapey and maybe more ambient. So yeah, it's really exciting. Like, I've started on the journey, and I'm working on it at the moment. For everyone who's asked me, like, when I'm releasing music, it's definitely something that I'll be doing as soon as I'm ready to do it. But I also just don't want to feel rushed, and I don't want to just put out anything that is like not me and is not true to myself. But yeah, that's a question I get asked all the time, but like, I'm working on it. Someone else asked me, when you're approaching a DJ set to play, I guess in a club or whatever, or just in general DJ sets, like, do you plan your sets? Do you play spontaneously? How do you approach DJing? So I always really felt like, I mean, I kind of do hold this belief that, like, if you were to prepare a DJ set, that it's kind of cheating. Because, like, to me, the whole point is that you're like, it's live performance art, and you're curating like the energy in the room, so you have to be able to be spontaneous. So in general, like, when I'm playing in a club set or anything like that, like, I would not like prepare a DJ set. But I prepare obviously a lot of playlists, which, you know, this won't be news to any DJs who are listening to the show, but any non-DJ listeners, yeah, I maybe make like 15 playlists or something for a gig, of like loads of different energy levels and moods, and like tracks that have vocals or bangers or whatever, and then that just really helps you to be spontaneous in the moment. I mean, I always say to people, sometimes when I go to a party and you tell someone that you're a DJ and everyone's like, that's such a cool job, like, I always think that this job is actually a big part of it is kind of being a librarian and like a cataloguist of music. So that's what I spend a lot of my time doing, and that's how you prepare to play like a good spontaneous DJ set. Being, what's the phrase, like, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Like, it would probably stress me out a lot to go wing a big club DJ set without preparing some playlists, but I think that also comes with experience. Like, the more big club gigs I'm playing, the easier I'm finding it to just dip into different playlists I have from previous gigs, and stuff like that. And I guess that's quite a nice segue into mental health, because someone asked me about mental health, because obviously I speak really openly about mental health on my social media. It's something I'm really, really passionate about, and I'm really passionate about speaking about it very loudly. I think the world would be a much better, healthier place if we all kind of felt more comfortable to speak about our mental health ourselves, and to sort of check in with each other about how we're doing. And, you know, I think the more we can all contribute to making the world feel like a safe space, and also like part of that world is like the online world as well, and social media, because social media, which is a topic that's been spoken about so many times here on the radio show, can typically be a place where everybody just shows like the best parts of their life, which I think can affect people's mental health and well-being. So yeah, I mean, I would classify myself as an anxious DJ, like, for sure. And I get like anxious and stuff before really big shows, and that's why I like to be quite prepared with playlists, and I don't want to just completely wing it. But yeah, someone asked me about mental health and like taking care of your mental health in the music industry, and like, do I have any advice about that? And yeah, I guess I think, having been full-time in music for over a year now, 18 months or something, a really big advice is, which I'm not great at keeping myself, but is like to have a great routine. I think routine is really, really important. I think it can help you so much. I recently read that book, Atomic Habits. Don't know if anyone's read that, but Atomic Habits was a great book to read about how to have routine in your life. And for any other like music professionals, people in the music industry who listen to the radio show here, I also think things like getting out in the sunlight is really important, and being really mindful of your body clock and how you expose your body and rhythms of your body to things like sunlight. Recently, obviously, it's June right now in the UK, so it's summer, and I just recently had a club set where I finished at like 4:30 a.m. and I've done that before, obviously, over the winter, but this was the first time I walked out of the club at close to 5 in the morning, and it was really, really bright sunlight, and then I couldn't sleep properly for several hours because my body clock just, the sun like woke me up. So I need to go buy some really strong sunglasses or polarized whatever, and so I don't have to expose myself to the sunlight. But yeah, I think that's really important. Obviously, things like nutrition, sleep hygiene, it can be really crazy in the music industry. Like it can just be such a hectic lifestyle and quite high pressured, and obviously you're constantly in nightclubs surrounded by alcohol as well. So that's another thing. Like I really try to limit my alcohol intake, and I try to always ask for a lot of like fruit juices on a DJ rider, and you know, drink as little as possible basically, because again that's really good for your health. um Trying to think what other questions I've written them down. I've got my notebook in front of me here in the studio, and I'm like having a look now. But yeah, just in terms of mental health, there's also like a lot of podcasts. I listen to like a lot of well-being kind of podcasts, and if anyone ever has any questions about this, or is like wants to talk about mental health, like my DMs are kind of always open for this topic, because I'm just really passionate about it, and I studied some of this in university. I studied a lot of psychology as well, and I did like some post-grad courses in the area of mental health and stuff like that. So it's an area really close to my heart, and the further I go in the music industry, the more I'm aware that mental health and well-being um, isn't as big of an aspect of the industry that I think it really should be, and this can really be so damaging for people's whole lives and livelihoods, and it can even be life-threatening when people deal with sort of suicidal thoughts and that sort of thing. So I think we all have a responsibility to prioritize taking care of our mental health, but also making it a conversation that we all have with each other. And I want to lead by example, I guess, of being as open about that as possible. Um, is there a set from your career that was like your best set? That was another question I got asked. Or like, like one gig that I've played that was a really amazing experience. And I mean, I guess I still really have chills from Studio 338 this weekend. Like it was just magical. And they actually have sent me the recorded set already. The venue recorded everything. So at some point I'm going to release that. They sent it with like, also they had like a microphone in the room that was recording everybody sort of like cheering and just the crowd ambience. So I need to figure out how to put that on top of the set. But yeah, it's really exciting to be able to share that with you, and that was really special. And then also like a couple of years ago I had a gig in Camden. It was like probably my first big gig where I opened for Jan Blomqvist. That set is also online on my SoundCloud, and it's one of the most listened to sets. And again, I played like a really, really slow opening set, really chilled vibes, and that was also just like the energy in the room. I think the gigs that really stick out on my mind are the ones where like the dance floor, everybody kind of brings a lot of their own emotions, and then you feel so much of the emotion in the room, and it feels like such a collective experience. Those are the really special ones that really stay with you. But someone else also asked me like, what's my favorite record label? Obviously I always share all of the tracks lists from the radio show here, so you can kind of see this, like the labels that I'm playing a lot. I love Some Over Histories, which is Frankie and Sandrino's label. I absolutely love this record label, and I play a lot of their music. And I also love Get Physical. It's like slightly more groovy music. Get Physical, Mobley Records, Compact, Isolate, Mave Records, which is run by Manila Tuff. All these record labels are making this very much the kind of music that I'm playing a lot here on Bloop and in my DJ sets. So yeah, they're all really, really amazing record labels. And one day, if I ever make it as a music producer, I hope to be able to release on one of these labels. We'll see what the future holds. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up now. This little mini like solo interview. Thanks a lot to everybody who has been along with me on this journey for the past few years, and my journey here at Bloop, and has been tuning in regularly to the weekly shows. It's been an amazing year having so many great guests here on the show. Really, really honoured to have such amazing like producers come in, talk about their journeys and stuff. And I'm really excited about the next year of radio shows. I'm planning for it to get even bigger and better. And obviously also I just started the Redfreya and Friends event series as well. I think some people have come to that, but we had the first one in May. It was like really, really, really cool. And we already have plans in the diary to have another event at the end of the summer. So yeah, watch this space. Come to the party. Come and dance with us all and enjoy it. But yeah, like loads of really exciting stuff on the horizon. So yeah, thanks so much, guys, for being a part of my journey so far. I don't know if I need to stop now. I might try and play one more track. We'll see if I get kicked off air, but I'll try and play one more track for you guys to end the show today. And yeah, you'll find all the IDs and everything from today's show as well on my SoundCloud and on my Instagram, which is Redfreya DJ.
Blue London. London.